India and EU announce landmark trade deal. Australia cancels visa of Israeli influencer. Keep dreaming. NATO chief says Europe can't defend itself without US. UK's Starmer heads to China to repair ties as he navigates tensions with US. U.S. aircraft USS Abraham Lincoln arrives in Middle East amid Iran unrest. The European Union and India have announced a landmark free trade agreement, ending nearly 2 decades of intermittent negotiations. Both sides are deepening ties as they face growing economic and geopolitical pressure from the United States. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen declared the deal complete, calling it the mother of all deals. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi described it as historic. The agreement creates free trade in goods between the EU's 27 member states and India, together representing nearly a quarter of global GDP and a combined market of 2 billion people. The pact is expected to sharply reduce tariffs and expand market access on both sides. Under the deal, the EU will eliminate tariffs on most exports of chemicals, machinery, electrical equipment, aircraft, and spacecraft. India will significantly cut duties on motor vehicles, currently as high as 110%, down to 10% under a quota of 250,000 vehicles. India will gain preferential access to European markets for textiles, leather goods, marine products, handicrafts, gems, and jewelry. Tariffs on tea, coffee, spices, and processed foods will also be reduced or eliminated. At the same time, India has protected sensitive sectors such as dairy, cereals, poultry, and certain fruits and vegetables. Australia has cancelled the visa of an Israeli influencer known for anti-Islam comments, saying the country will not admit visitors who seek to spread hatred. Sami Yahud, who has described Islam on social media as a disgusting ideology, said his visa was revoked just 3 hours before his flight from Israel was due to depart. He flew to Abu Dhabi anyway, but was denied boarding on a connecting flight to Australia. Calling the decision tyranny, censorship, and control, Yahud criticized the move online. Australia's Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke defended the cancellation, stating that visitors must apply for the right visa and come for the right reasons. Spreading hatred is not a good reason to come, he said. The decision follows Australia's recent tightening of hate crime laws after a deadly mass shooting at a Hanukkah gathering in Sydney last December that left 15 people dead. Yahud's visa was reportedly cancelled under legislation previously used to block entry to individuals accused of promoting hate. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has warned that Europe cannot defend itself without the United States, as debate grows over whether the continent should become militarily independent, following recent tensions between Washington and European allies over Greenland. President Donald Trump sparked concern across Europe after threatening to seize Greenland before later stepping back following talks with Rutte. The incident reignited calls for Europe to reduce its reliance on U.S. military power. Speaking at the European Parliament, Rutte dismissed the idea that Europe could defend itself alone. He said EU nations would need to double defense spending and invest billions in nuclear weapons to replace American protection. He warned that losing the U.S. nuclear umbrella would remove the ultimate guarantee of Europe's security. France's foreign minister responded by saying Europeans must take responsibility for their own security, highlighting divisions within the alliance. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to visit China on Tuesday, marking the first trip by a UK leader in 8 years. The visit aims to repair strained relations with Beijing and reduce Britain's reliance on an increasingly unpredictable United States. Starmer's trip comes as tensions rise between London and Washington over President Donald Trump's recent threats concerning Greenland. Accompanied by senior ministers and business leaders, Starmer will meet Chinese officials in Beijing, travel to Shanghai, and then make a brief stop in Japan. Analysts say the visit will focus heavily on how Britain and China view the current posture of the United States. One expert noted that on key global issues such as artificial intelligence, public health, and climate policy, London may currently find itself closer to Beijing than Washington. Since taking office in 2024, Starmer has prioritized rebuilding ties with China after relations deteriorated under previous governments over Hong Kong, espionage allegations, and cyber attacks. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group has arrived in the Middle East, significantly boosting U.S. military power in the region as tensions with Iran continue to rise. The U.S. military confirmed the carrier and its accompanying warships are now deployed to promote what it calls regional security and stability. The deployment comes as Iran intensifies its crackdown on nationwide protests. President Donald Trump has stepped back from ordering immediate military action against Tehran but insists that all options remain on the table. In an interview, Trump said the U.S. now has a, quote, big armada next to Iran, while also claiming Iranian officials have reached out to negotiate. A senior U.S. official confirmed Washington remains open to talks. Protests in Iran began in late December over economic concerns and have grown into a broad anti-government movement. Human rights groups report a severe crackdown, including security forces firing on protesters during an extended internet shutdown. One monitoring group says nearly 6,000 deaths have been confirmed, with the true toll possibly far higher.